Hey everybody, welcome to an introduction to HTML and CSS. Let me just take a second here to go over what we're going to look at in this first video. First, we're going to look at what a web page is, and we're also going to look at some of the tools that we use to create web pages and why they're opened up in our browsers. So let's get started. So let me show you two quick examples of web pages or HTML documents. So the first example that we're going to look at here is my website, and that's jdhorn.com, and we'll take a look at the student section. So you can see this is what we're used to seeing. We go into our browser and we browse across the internet to web pages. So here's the information for this course that we're doing, and you can see that the title of the document, or actually the file name, is displayed here at the top of my browser. Now, again, we're used to seeing these documents on the web, but we don't have to have them on the web. We can actually have them locally. And if I close my browser, you can see on my desktop here, I've got several documents saved here. And when I double click those documents, they're going to open up in the browser, just the same as if I was viewing them on the internet. So for the duration of this course, most of the web pages that we view are going to be saved to our system or our desktop. So what exactly is an HTML document or a web page? I'm sure we're all familiar with web pages, having gone to Facebook or YouTube or Google or what have you thousands of times. But what exactly makes a web page work? So let's take a quick look at a couple of examples of a web page and just see what happens behind the scenes to make this work. Now, I'm using Windows 7. Your desktop may look a little bit different, but I've saved these documents on my desktop. I've got 3 documents at the top here that we'll look at. Now, first.htm is the file that we're going to look at, and you can see by the little icon that's displayed here that Google Chrome is actually my default browser. Yours may be Internet Explorer, Firefox, Safari, what have you, but they all accomplish basically the same thing. Why does this open up in my browser when I double click it? Well, it's because of the extension at the end of the file name. So you can see that this is named first.htm. And it's the .htm that says, hey, this is a hypertext markup language document or a web page, and I should open it up in my browser. Okay, so I'm going to double click this, and here it is. It's displayed before me. So several different elements on the page. I've got assignment 1 in the tab at the top. I've got my name in a heading style. I've got horizontal lines across the page, a paragraph of text, and then a couple of different lists. Now, before we actually see what's going on behind the scenes here, why don't we take a look at the content of this page in a different format. So what I'm actually going to do right here is right-click this document, and I want to open this up in my text editor, in this case EM Editor, but you may be using Notepad or some other text editor. So you can see this is basically the content of my page. It's got my heading at the top, it's got my name and the paragraph of text, all of the elements that we discussed before. So I'm going to close this, and I'll just double-click this document. Now it should show up pretty much the same way as the document we just viewed, correct? Maybe, maybe not. Oh, hey, wait a minute. Now everything is all run together across the screen. But again, I can right-click on my document and say View Page Source. Everything looks right here, so there must be something missing. And there is, of course. It's the HTML language that makes the document work. So let's take a quick look at that first document again. This time I'm just going to right-click and again open this in my text editor so I can see what the code behind the document actually looks like. Okay, well this looks a little bit different from the other document we had open. you can see that we have what are called tags in the document, and that's basically what we're going to be learning about. You can see that here's an example of a tag at the top of the screen. So it's preceded with the less than sign, and then the name of the tag, in this case HTML, and then a greater than sign. This is actually an opening tag. Down at the other end of my document we have a matching tag, but a closing tag. In this case it's again got a less than sign and the name of the document, or the tag I should say, and then a greater than sign. But this time we actually have a slash here, and the slash is what makes this a closing tag. Here's an example of another tag that's closer together so you can see them both at once. We have a head section in our document. Here's the opening tag and the closing tag, and then content between them. In this case, the content is another tag. So we have title, and then the content of that tag, and then the closing title tag. So that's the basics of the HTML language. So let's take a look at an example of a basic HTML document. And this is the document that we're going to use through the duration of the course as the basis of all of the pages that we create. So I've called it basic.htm, and you'll actually see this as one of the examples in session 1 on my website, jdhorn.com/student. So let's open this up in our browser just to see what it looks like. Not much to it. You see that we actually have a title up at the very top in the tab here, and then in the content area, so this big area here, the content area, we actually have this sentence of text, and that's it. Now, to view the source of this document, or the code that makes the document what it is, we're going to right click and we'll say view page source. Now, depending on the browser you're using, that might be a little bit different, but basically you'll get to see this code here. So let's take a little look here and see exactly what we've got. So we've got an opening HTML tag at the top of our document, and then at the bottom we have a closing HTML tag. Now, nested within that, or inside of that tag, we actually have a couple of sections. The first section that we have is the head section, and that contains content that's not displayed on the screen, but it contains things like the title, so it tells the browser what to display in the title bar, and there are other various items that we may learn about later that can be within the head section. What we display on the screen is actually the content that lives between the body tags, so down here in this body section. And you can see again, if we switch back, content lives here is what's displayed on the screen, and that's what's actually within the body section of the document here. So I've opened up two of these documents, again first.htm and first notags.htm, in my browser, and now we'll take a quick look at both of those pages again. So again, going back to the page that has all of the tags, this is what we see. Going back to the tag that has no tags, in other words, viewing the source, is just the content. That's what we see. Now, basically, this tells us that the tags that we add, viewing the source here, the tags that we add, such as H1, closing H1, etc., actually tell the browser how to display the content. So it's telling the browser, here's the content, Jim Horn, I'd like that to be displayed as a heading, H1. Also, I've got a horizontal rule, basically a line across the screen, and that's what this tag is telling the browser to do, right here. Below that I have a paragraph of text, and again that's beginning with a P tag for paragraph, and it closes off with a P tag. Now you can see how this all finally gets displayed as this. So we're going to learn what those tags do, and we'll learn more about tags, double-sided tags, single-sided tags, as well as attributes that we can add to the tags to make them perform different things. So let's take a quick look at that as well.